Hey guys, another exciting episode of Doc Lil Talks Comics, and this time we're getting into the long awaited episode of Doc's weekly comic pickups. Normally it comes on Wednesday. I could not get to the bookstore until Friday, and then my wife went back into the hospital after falling and breaking her foot last night. So please pray for her for fast healing. She's diabetic, so fast healing is not always a given, but let's not dwell on that. Let's go ahead and get into something more exciting. And we're going to start with the book of the week. And this week's book of the week is Dead Samurai, issue number 5. This is the cover by Bill Sienkiewicz that got me into the title altogether. This is written by John Domayan, the drummer from System of a Down, with art by Ryan Benjamin. And here we see the continuation of the search for Aki-san, and we also get to see Yama-san finding Lord Nobutomo's group, and they say Nobutomo is dead, but where is the child of our previous leader? And he says, our Lord Kawamaki's infant son is alive. I found him in the castle unharmed. And the leader says, where is he? I placed him in the care of my father. He is safe. And so it turns out to be a double cross, as this man wants to lead and doesn't want anybody else to be even a pretender to the throne, much less have a legitimate claim. So the artwork here is very moody. It sets a tone. It's set during the 1600s in feudal Japan, and with the muted colors and the line work that you get to see from Ryan Benjamin, it is absolutely an amazing story. I believe John Domayan still allows the artwork to speak for itself, which I can appreciate, but a few narration boxes here and there might not hurt to keep the story tight. It seems a little bit looser. It's almost like he's relying solely on the artwork to carry things forward at certain points, whereas other writers would, even just a meanwhile ... box occasionally helps to move the story along. But you get to see Aki-san and her protector in this 2-page spread. This is just amazing artwork, guys. Ryan Benjamin's been doing artwork for years. I remember his Image stuff back in the 90s, and it just gets better with time. Just gets absolutely better with time. But this issue, from the cover on, did not disappoint. Absolutely love this title. And if you haven't gotten on this train just yet, wait till the trade comes out. I believe it's only 6 issues, so we only have one more to go. But this is absolutely amazing romp through 1600s feudal Japan with intrigue, political deception. It's in the same vein as Circus Maximus, but I would hold this in a little bit higher regard. So awesome book and awesome job to John and Ryan and company. Thank you so much for bringing this book to my attention. All right, next up is one of the nicest and prettiest covers I think I've seen in a long time. It was done by Lorenzo De Felici, and you get to see one of the warriors sitting on a tree in a nighttime scape, where they get to show peace, whereas most of this book by Robert Kirkman and David Finch has shown nothing but war. It's been war after war with moments of peace, but the artwork by David Finch is absolutely breathtaking. He brings the amount of detail that I haven't seen since McFarlane back in his Spider-Man days, or even perhaps Liefeld in his X-Force days. So you get to see Paka and Anak, and they're on opposite sides, but Paka, who is chieftain now, that Anak has run away, ends up respecting his elder. He still sees the need at the end. He says, we're going to kill him, but tonight we're going to bury our dead, and then we will hunt him in the morning. But look at the colors on these pages, man. They just absolutely pop, and you just never know what to expect from this book. Now, I will say this one was a little more expensive because it is a 1 in 25 by Lorenzo De Felici, but I got it from my shop for a steal, and I'm just so proud to have that cover because it's a story about peace. It's a story about growth. It's a story about finding your way, and that's exactly what this character is doing, whether it's Paka, whether it's Anak, whether it's somebody else. Then this character is just calm, cool, and collected, and thinking about what their next move is going to be. Beautiful, beautiful cover, guys. All right. Third up, we have Be Not Afraid, issue number 5 by Jude Ellison S. Doyle, art by Alessandro Esterin, and you get the continuation of Geordie's story with his mother, and this angelic character resurrects her after Geordie killed her in the previous issue, and he keeps telling her, you're gonna have to murder your son because he is an abomination. He was birthed of an angel and a mortal, and that has caused a bunch of confusion in her mind, in Cora's mind. He says, God offers you redemption, you have no right to throw it away. And she says, but I can't kill him, it's wrong. And the preacher-looking character, the angel, says, God does not command things because they are good. Things are good because God commands them. Your place is not to question. And so this is an amazing book that really makes you think. It's not some sort of satanic Bible where you sit there and say, oh, well, everything that this Bible over here that I've been reading my whole life is teaching me is wrong. Instead, it causes what people, my age call critical thinking. You go back and you say, it's the same question an issue of The Spectre raised years ago, and it says, why does evil still exist in the world? If God wills it, then why does he will it so? And that's how you get to, in this story, Cora is morally torn because it's her child. But at the same time, if he's the Antichrist, he will do far more damage living than her murder of him could do to her own soul. She would be protecting the entirety of the world. But this artwork is just so classic and moody and just brings out, it exudes a certain feeling, and that feeling is of impending doom, of the fact that this boy could bring about Armageddon, and he gleefully sees who he is. He's not innocent in his own mind anymore, and he sees what his actions could bring. And towards the end, he says, let's see. He goes to the church, and rain begins to fall on him, and it's a red rain, and he says, well then, let us pray. And so you get a book that, like I said, it's not blasphemous. It makes you think. It's so much more, and so much more intellectual than just a regular superhero comic. This is something that if you want to sit down and spend some time really building your own faith, then sometimes you have to read some things that go against. If all you ever read are things that are yes men, or yes articles, or yes books, to the same way that you believe, it will grow your belief in that particular thought process, but it never makes you critically think about the greater moral areas that a lot of these situations entail. So Be Not Afraid is one of the best boom books that is out there. Man, I got a stack of books this week. Next up is Absolute Wonder Woman in issue number 16 with the first appearance of Absolute Zatanna. And you've got Kelly Thompson as the writer and Hayden Sherman as the artist. And Diana is at a party and something feels off. And what it ends up being is Zatanna is kind of pulling the strings behind the curtain. And by the end, after some thought processing and talking with Artemis, Wonder Woman, let's see, what did she ask her? Okay, so she says, why does she never come to see me anymore? She says, who? And she said, the only one that doesn't come here. And so finally she asks Artemis, if I best you in combat, will you answer my question? Why does the one person that I care for not come see me? And Artemis says, yeah, sure, I'll answer it if you can beat me. And then Diana does, and she says, a bad winner is worse than a bad loser, Diana. And she asks again, why does she not come to see me? And she says, I honestly can't believe you're wasting your question on that. But perhaps she does not come because you have nothing more to learn from her. And so it's not her mother, but it's this character here that has the shawl over her face. And in the end, Diana realizes that Zatanna has found a way to tie her own magic into Zatanna. So a better way to describe that is Wonder Woman was kind of holding on to the magic until Zatanna needed it. And then when Zatanna was able to kind of snap her fingers and pull it away from Diana, there was nothing Diana could do. She had been bound. And so that's what it says. It says, I bind you to me while in my presence. Your voice is mine alone. And Diana says, she bound my magic to her. She controls my magic now. And Zatanna says, I wonder what we should do with your magic first. So another amazing issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, which I still think is the best Absolute book of them all. All right, next up, we have The Author Immortal, issue number 4 by Frank Barbary and Morgan Beam. And you get to continue the story of Al and her father. Let's see, Hector. And they fell deeper into the book The Mage's Apprentice. So Hector is fighting his own battles, but he understands this world and recognizes it, whereas Al, who is his transitioning child, they see things in a different way. And it goes back to show when Hector was younger and Al went to go visit Sarah, her friend Sarah, and apparently they became close. And Sarah's mother didn't like that, and so it caused a rift between Hector and Al because Hector didn't stand up for his child. So again, you've got books like this that are telling real things that are important. They're talking about issues. It's not even the transitioning and the binary and all of that in this book. It's a story about a father and a child, and the fact that the father is working so hard to succeed, to provide for Al. And it's not that Al isn't appreciative, but she can't see it because she's too close. So she can't appreciate everything that she does see that he does. His hard work doesn't pay off in her mind because she sees him more interested in his characters and more interested in storylines than he ever was in his own child. So guys, if you want a real story instead of just serialized fighting serialized stories that will never end, the characters will never grow. Search and find those kind of stories in independent books, just like the author Immortal. So this is getting better and better all the time. This is the Harlequin King, and Al has been courted by this character, and the entire world, Alethea, who is Hector's creation in this story, actually gets concerned and scared when she finds out about the Harlequin King, and Al is with the Harlequin King. So find books like this, guys. I mean, read your Spider-Man, read your Superman, read your Green Lantern, but at the end of the day, supplement it with things that make you think, things that come outside of the superhero realm. Just like Void Rivals, issue number 26, the Quintesson War. Everybody calls it the Quintesson War. So Quintesson. That's what G1 set forth. So that's what I'm going to go with. But you have Robert Kirkman and Andre Bresson, and here you get part 2 of the Quintesson War. And in that, Darax saves one of his friends who had his ship destroyed. But meanwhile, you see the Quintesson ship right here about to make landfall on Darax's planet. And so his hand droid says there was one held within the Rockeroid, the vessel where we encountered Skuxoid. And he eventually gets back down to landfall, but the judges, which you'll be familiar with from the G1 cartoon, land on the other planet. And you see this judge here, Judge Naven of the Quintessons, and looks kind of like Hound a little bit. But he pretty much says, go ahead and give up. And Zalalak comes out and says, I am the guardian of all Zertonia. And Naven goes back and forth with him for a moment and says, your devotion to the unnamed positions you squarely in opposition to us. We do not have the best reputation when it comes to the treatment of our prisoners. We treat them fairly, but that mostly means that we execute them quickly. So it turns out that Zalalak swings on the giant chin of Naven and puts a crack in the chin of Naven. And as they are fighting, Zalalak thinks to himself, he says, I'm sure that they've attacked Agoria as well, and I wonder how they're faring. And right on time, you get to see Darax and Salila together again. So I'm going to not spoil that one, but Void Rivals continues to be one of the best Energon titles. So if you're not reading it, check it out. And I'll talk about this at a initial assessment video. I haven't done one of those in a while, but we have Iron Man #1. And this is a brand new book by Joshua Williamson and Carmen Carnero. And I will talk about that at greater length in that video. All right, we're finally getting to the bottom of the stack. Now we have the next continuing portion of Hal Jordan's going around to his friends and trying to find out what the deal is with this batch of memories that the Book of Oa has implanted into his brain. This one was written by Jeremy Adams with art by Montos. And I like Zermanico, I really do, but at the same time, this has got a much more lifelike and detailed, less cartoony style to this book. And it really brings out that the seriousness, I would say, that Barry Allen finds himself in, because Barry is been an informant, but he's no longer the Flash. He's lost his powers. So he's trying to call Hal Jordan to come down and assist him And eventually Hal shows up, and the gangster that Barry is supposed to be speaking against in court finds out that he hasn't been taken out yet. So he says, "Bring me Bruto." And he says, "I want you to call Bruto." And he's like, besides that, the last time this guy made a big mess, a giant mess. And the guy says, "It's already a mess. If Barry Allen gets to court, then I'm sunk." And the most important thing that Barry Allen can give to Hal Jordan is he looks him straight in the eyes and he says, "If you're seeing these things, if these things are popping up, then there's got to be some reality to them, and it would be in your best interest if you started listening to your heart, listening to what these things are trying to tell you." Because, and Hal Jordan says, "Well, what if it goes bad? What if whatever these messages are, what if it goes bad?" And Barry says, "Then you'll have an amazing set of friends there to help you through this time. Whatever this is, we're going to be there for you. Rain, sun, snow, shine, whatever." So, again, Jeremy Adams proven that he is one of the best writers at DC or Marvel, with another amazing issue of Green Lantern. And as far as the most fun book this week, it is by far G.I. Joe number 18, with Joshua Williamson as a writer and Marco Fodera as artist. And here you get the introduction of Roadblock, Marvin, who's got Marvin's melts. And the cousins, or the twins, I should say, it is Tomax and Xamot, go and try to get Roadblock, or Marvin, who is got a food truck down at Biloxi, Mississippi, to join them in their endeavor. And they say, "We're about to launch this food truck line, and we want you to be the face of it." And they said it's going to be called Red Rockets. And they said it's international. That's where the big money is. And Marvin says, "I just want to make people happy. I don't want to expand a brand. I don't want to make anything bigger than myself." Man, this man totes a 50 cal like nobody's business. And all he wants to do is just provide people with happiness, be left alone, and at the end of the day, he wants to be able to rest and not be at war. So, guys, I'm going to have to cut this short because I think I just got a call from the hospital. But that's a great book, and if you're not reading it, you should definitely pick it up. And the last three we'll go through really quickly is a great issue of Feral, where it really, on what they say on the cover, is true. After this issue, everything changes. Dust to Dust returns by J.G. Jones and Phil Brown. It's the penultimate issue, I believe. Issue 8 is the last issue, and it sets up this gas mask wearing guy who's going to come into town and absolutely kick over a hornet's nest. And last but not least is our second best book of the week, Conan the Barbarian. And all I'm going to say about that one is long live King Conan. Guys, thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you got some enjoyment and some entertainment out of it, as well as a little bit of education about the books that came out this week. But I will catch you guys in the next video, and have a wonderful, restful Sunday.